Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Gone Phishing. I'm your host, Connor, CEO at Phin, and I am joined thrice again by Reg, the co-founder and previous CTO of Autotask, and also the CEO and founder of Orbital Fire. Reg, how are you?
I'm good. It's like deja vu.
Deja vu? You're just doing good?
I'm just doing good.
Just doing good.
We've had this conversation so many times. Yeah, I'm good. Things are good.
Awesome. For folks who don't know yourself or haven't watched any of the previous episodes, do you want to give just a little bit of background on yourself and Orbital Fire?
Sure. You kind of hit the highlights. So my MSP background is a decade at Autotask from day one to around 2010. So I was lucky enough to see the painful transition from break fix to managed services. Like we, as a company, we got to watch and I would say contribute and help birth managed services, the business model. So that was exciting, painful and exciting at the same time. And in the middle, I started an enterprise cybersecurity professional services company called Greycastle. And, at one point we were the largest, fastest growing, consulting company in the country. And then Orbital Fire was born 2020. We'll actually be 4 years old June 1st. And our mission is to take all of these big complex problems and solutions that everyone focuses on for enterprise, figure out how to do those in an accessible way for small businesses. And it's been a brisk 4 years, I have to say. A grind for sure. We're definitely, it was, as some would say here, pushing Jello up a hill with a rake at times. But whether it's MSPs, small businesses, the industry at large, I think most are becoming more educated on what cyber is and what it is not, and what small businesses truly need to, from a competitive advantage, compliance, insurance perspective. That we're sort of inventing that now, but it is becoming clear all the time.
One of the hot button topics with small businesses is AI. I mean, it's a hot button topic with every industry at this point, whether it's in security or seems like there's a new AI company doing AI things. I'm surprised there isn't an Uber for your AI. It drives it to your house or something at this point. But how do you think, are you getting any questions from small businesses about how they should be using AI, anything related to their security, anything like that?
Not that I'm aware of. I think most of our customers are probably using it in some small way, like we are. I mean, we use AI-based tools and things, mostly on the generative content side of things. It's not in our stack or our services, our customer-facing services. We don't do anything. But again, we take a very simple, pragmatic approach to cyber with our customers. But I know it's out there. I was surprised to see that the ISO had released an AI management standard, the 42001, I believe it was. When I got that, I was like, I guess AI is actually here. Like if the ISO is involved, it was shocking to see that. But I suppose it is inevitable. I think we really haven't jumped on that bandwagon much at all right now, although we have helped customers develop AI policies, so internally facing policies with basically what is acceptable use of AI in our organization. So we've done some work around that. But I could be out of it, but I don't really see a critical, like mass adoption of AI in general. But who knows? I mean, I think these things, all of a sudden we're talking about AI every day. It's only a year old. So it's been crazy.
It kind of is. Every company. I walked the floor of Black Hat last June, July, whenever that was, in the middle of the summer in Vegas. It was incredibly hot. And every single company that I had the pleasure of getting to know on the floor of that conference was AI was straight out of their mouth. And that was their pitch. We use AI to do X, Y, and Z. It's like, yeah, what does that mean? They're like, well, we use artificial intelligence to help us with managed detection and response. It's like, all right, I understood the acronyms. I knew what those meant. It's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Do you know what you're talking? It's like, what does this do? It's Josh, and Josh, for those of you who don't know, my co-founder, he has a background in machine learning and AI, right? That's his previous startup was malware analysis using machine learning. And his statement to me has always been, the novel thing about AI isn't necessarily what it can do. It's the scale at which it allows you to do things now.
100%. I agree with that. So most people, when they ask me about AI, it's, what is our adversary doing? How are they equipping themselves? How are they advancing their capability? And I think a lot of them come to your domain, which is, hey, don't you think phishing is going to be way better going forward because of AI? And I say, it's already as good as it's ever going to get. It doesn't need to get any better. The economics don't.
It's working.
The economics are working. Like they're only going to do the minimum. It wouldn't make sense to make them any better. What AI will do, though, is make it cheaper and faster to conduct social engineering type exercises. So, which quantity is a quality all of its own, right? So the more persistent, the more pervasive these issues, that will change things for sure. But seeing the quality of a phishing email go up, I think that's nonsense. But the rest of the industry seems to be convinced that AI, its main, effect or impact on the industry is better phishing emails. I think it's nonsense. Not the first time our industry has introduced a bunch of nonsense, but I think it's going to have an impact, but probably not the way our industry is talking about it, at least today on the adversarial side. On the good guys side, I think there's an interesting conversation that probably needs to be had, because if you ask anyone, if they trust AI, they're probably going to say no, or I don't know at best. Yet our industry is all about building trust. So if you've injected these components that you don't trust into a system that is designed to generate trust, like, what have we done? And whether it works or not, I think trust is one of those things. Security, there's two pieces to it. There's the reality of security, and then there's how we feel about it, right? Because you can feel secure even when you're not, and you can be secure even when it doesn't feel that way. And so this idea of injecting these untrusted components into a system of trust, I think there's an interesting conversation there. And no one has really questioned the cybersecurity industry at large, but it's like, we get the marketing pizzazz. Like we get that your private equity backer is demanding, an AI headline from you, but is that really achieving your mission? I don't know. Seems a bit contrary to me today.
I remember reading a story about some attorney that used a ChatGPT to summarize legal cases, and then doubled down and asked the ChatGPT, like, are all of these cases real? Did you make them up? Like, what are and then ChatGPT, nope, we didn't make these up. These are real. Turns out it actually did make them up. I don't know if it was ChatGPT, by the way, but it was some kind of AI system where you could, ask questions and get responses. And I'm pretty sure he got disbarred. I mean, I'm laughing because it's like, it's so funny how it's like you spend 3 years going to school in pre-law, then you spend 3 years going to law school, then you pass a test. Now you're an attorney. And you're like, I'm going to hang my license on this piece of technology that I've been told to trust, ability not to make up stuff and feed it to me.
Right.
And that's exactly what it did.
Yeah. I think the Bar Association has banned the use of AI tools like wholesale for things like that, in legal situations where someone is generating content there. It's actually been banned.
Yeah. On your comment about phishing, I think there's a really good correlation that you brought up on the last episode that we had with you, where it's like, what is the quality of phishing that's going to occur, the social engineering that's going to occur? The answer is the cheapest and most, the least identifiable form of social engineering that continues to work. It's
Like that
that's
works.
it.
Right. The
Yeah,
cheapest, easiest thing, fastest thing that works.
and so I always advocated for, I don't think social engineering will change, but as we adopt tools that recognize it, then it'll change in response. It's like this cat and mouse game, the defender and the attacker. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
And I explained it through these two stories where it's like, there are really two types of phishing. Quantity, you just blast companies, thousands and thousands of emails, different domains, different areas of the country, different email, whatever. You just want any of them to get through. They aren't necessarily high quality. It's just a volume play, right? What's going to change there? Maybe you're not going to recognize it anymore because of bad English, or English isn't the first language of the person who's trying to attack you. And as a result, you can detect it. I don't think that'll happen anymore, largely. But the second one is super targeted. So it's a human somewhere around the world decided to attack your business. They got a bunch of information online. They probably didn't have to look very hard to go get it. They went on LinkedIn. They connected with you. They downloaded your org chart from somewhere else. They got your contact information from Zoom Info or some other tool like that where you can skip trace just about anyone, including myself these days. And then they started a coordinated attack. How is AI going to do that any better than a human who knew how to attack you with what and when? Because they did all the research. Maybe it makes the information gathering a little faster, but it still requires that intelligent human with that intelligent thought process to go through it. It's like, that's why I don't see that as changing social engineering largely.
And I think there's always fascinating stories, but I remember having a conversation with someone. This was many years ago at this point, but they were saying, how is it that these 419 Nigerian scams are still around? My response to them was, well, two things. One, because it works. And two, and only because I had recent conversations and really kind of looked into what was really happening in Nigeria. Again, this is like 10 years ago when I had the time to really do the research. And as it turned out, these 419 scams were intentionally horrible. They were intentionally obvious for a reason. This was purposeful, because if you send a 419 Nigerian scam to 1,000 people, 999 are going to look at this thing and laugh and delete it. But there's one person that is going to believe it. And what you verify with that experiment is that one person is 100% susceptible, and they will do whatever you ask them to do. So the intelligence of this thing is that these scam artists, these adversaries, had eliminated the 999 potential victims that they really didn't want to deal with. They only wanted that one. And so they actually made them worse and worse and worse. The grammar, the punctuation, the nonsense, the making of millions of currency, they wanted to find the one person out of 1,000 that was 100% guaranteed to be susceptible to all of this stuff. I don't want to deal with these other 999. They're just going to waste my time, and eventually they're going to figure this out. I want the one person. So they were actually lowering the quality of these attempts to get rid of the people who would eventually figure it out. It's like, that's brilliant.
That makes a ton of sense. Because let's say you put in a ton of effort, you invest a ton of resources, a ton of time to get maybe one more person. It's like, nope, I'll just send to 2,000 and I'll get another one that way. And it costs me 1/8. It costs me so much less time, so much less effort, so much less energy, and it costs me nearly nothing.
Yeah. And you dig even deeper. And again, we could do a whole podcast about Nigerian scams. These folks weren't all from Nigeria, but most of them were just operating from a Nokia cell phone, that entire scam. And so it had to be very simple. It wasn't anything organized about it. So it was really important. There was only one person behind this entire thing. So it was really important that they found that one person quickly. So again, lowering the quality filtered out the people that this individual would waste all their time on, got really right directly to the victim. It's brilliant.
That is brilliant. There's actually a movie with Bruce Willis out about social engineering and cybercrime on the elderly. It's called Beekeeper, if you're interested in watching it. It was actually a great movie. I had no idea it was about that. until I pulled it up on Netflix and watched it like a month ago.
Beekeeper, right?
Yeah, it's great. But it's like also right when you're like, they want to lower the bar and find that one person, I immediately went to somebody like my grandparents who didn't exist with technology, who lived in a super high trust society, in a super high trust community, and still do to this day. And so when someone reaches out and says there's an issue with your bank account, there is no, I'm getting scammed, I need to be worried for that. It is from their day and age and with all of their life experiences, very trusting immediately off the bat, because why would anyone want to do that to me?
Yeah. Well, interestingly, our generation, I guess my generation, maybe a little bit of yours, we're sort of unique. The generations before us didn't have the internet. And so scams had to be done face to face. Anything like that had to be generally, like there was mail fraud, of course, but it generally had to happen in person. Generations after us grew up with the internet. And so it was just part of life that they know it's out there. Now, I think you could argue that, millennials and similar, latent generations have also let their guard down, because it's like getting the sniffles. Like you get the sniffles once a month. You don't die from it. And so, but anyway, we kind of lived are living in an interesting time where it was our generation that invented the internet, and we were the only ones that saw it created.
For folks who wanted to connect with you or connect with Orbital Fire, where would you suggest they go?
Partners at orbitalfire.com will get you to someone immediately. Our website does a pretty good job of talking about how we work with MSPs and what we do for our small and micro business customers. Or Reg at orbitalfire.com if you want to have a conversation, learn more about us. We'd love to talk to everyone.
Awesome. Folks, we'll have links to all of that in the show notes. If you've been listening or watching, please reach out to Reg or Orbital Fire to learn a little bit more. Thanks so much for joining us, Reg. Thanks for being here. It was a blast having you back on.
Thanks, bro. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. See you on the next episode.
Take care.
As always, everyone, thanks so much for tuning in to Gone Phishing. If you want to find out more about high-quality security awareness training campaigns, how to launch them in ways that actually engage employees to change their habits, then check us out, Phin Security, at phinsec.io. That's phinsec.io, or click all of the wonderful links in our show notes. Thanks for fishing with me today, and we'll see you next time.